So I don't know about you, but I am super excited about the start of the National Basketball Association season. I know we're about a month away at this point, but I thought it was time on the Underrated Pod to start talking about the association a little bit more. And on today's Underrated Pod, we are going to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers specifically. Will LeBron James actually have any regrets about the Lakers' off-season performance? A performance which included actually hiring his podcast co-host as the actual head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, a guy who had absolutely no head coach experience with anybody over the age of 13. That is one JJ Redick. Will LeBron James regret the Los Angeles Lakers burning a 55th draft pick to bring in his own son? I'm just going to answer that question right now, and the answer is no. There'll be no regrets at all about that. But will he actually regret the lack of moves that Rob Pelinka actually made for this Los Angeles Lakers team during the offseason? I believe that is where most of the regret is going to lie. But don't worry, Laker fans. I actually have a couple ideas and solutions for the Los Angeles Lakers as the season starts that might actually help them do more than just be a play-in basketball team. Now, before we do that, let's hear from one of the greatest Los Angeles Lakers of all time in one Shaquille O'Neal, who the other day had some comments about JJ Redick, which are absolutely priceless.
You know, as a coach, it's all about respect. And, you know, if I'm a guy that's played 7, 8 years and I'm getting a young coach who I think I was a better player than, it's going to be a level of, you know, disrespect. So imagine you come in and fucking JJ Redick starts yelling at you. It's going to be a fight in there. Players ain't going for all that yelling and all that screaming and all that extra running. Next Pat Riley by ass.
Yeah. As I pointed out, priceless comments by Shaq about JJ Redick. And certainly JJ Redick does have a bit of a reputation coming into, or I should say, coming back into the league as a head coach. Now, will he be able to transition from being a bit of an asshole to actually being a guy that can actually figure out how to get the best out of the players that are actually on his roster? Will he actually gain their respect at some point? Now, I am not terribly concerned about JJ Redick from an X's and O's perspective. I think he'll be the smartest person in the room when it comes to that portion of coaching. The real challenge for JJ Redick, which is a challenge for a lot of head coaches in the National Basketball Association, is to actually connect with the players on his team. And while he's, he was in the league, some 4 years ago, maybe even less than that at this point, it is certainly safe to say that JJ Redick is going to have to do things a little bit differently than other head coaches who are jumping into the National Basketball Association as a first-time head coach. So ultimately, do I believe JJ Redick will succeed? And I think the answer to that question is most likely going to be yes. Now, if the Los Angeles Lakers, for some reason, get off to an extremely sluggish start, I don't know, let's say they lose their first 10 games, then it is safe to say we might be looking at the second coming of a Steve Nash situation. But look, that's not something I'm so concerned about at this point. I think the Lakers are going to be fine. I think at the very least, the Los Angeles Lakers have a play-in basketball roster at this point. And that's not taking anything away from the greatness of Anthony Davis and, of course, the still greatness of one LeBron James. Now, JJ did the unorthodox thing a couple days ago by actually coming out and announcing who's actually going to be on his starting roster. Normally you wait a while, you wait until you at the very least get a week or two into training camp, but no, JJ Redick is doing things his way, which is totally fine. Now, there's no surprise here at all. Of course, it's Anthony Davis, it's Austin Reeves, it's D'Angelo Russell, it's Rory, are actually going to be in the starting lineup for the Los Angeles Lakers this particular year. So it's D'Angelo, Austin, Rory, LeBron, and Anthony Davis as your Los Angeles Lakers starting lineup. And the real problem actually comes from the bench. And I could say some things about D'Angelo Russell as well from a defensive perspective. I mean, he's basically an orange cone out there during the games. And certainly we know that D'Angelo Russell in big games sometimes absolutely falls asleep and is not even in the games during the fourth quarter. But for the most part, during a regular season run, I certainly love having D-Russ on the roster. But in terms of regrets, I think LeBron James is absolutely going to have some regrets that Rob Pelinka didn't do anything really to help him out during the offseason. Now, of course, the Los Angeles Lakers have a couple first-round draft picks that they could certainly look to move in order to make some moves. Now, of course, there was the Lauri Markkanen rumors, and the Lauri Markkanen rumors were connected to 4 other teams as well, including the Golden State Warriors this offseason. And we all know that Danny Ainge was basically holding everybody hostage. Like, if you wanted to make that move, you had to give up like 4 or 5 players, and you had to give up 3 or 4 first-round draft picks if you wanted Lauri Markkanen. Look, nobody rips other general managers off more than Danny Ainge has throughout his career. So in terms of what do the Lakers do as they get into this season, is this roster strong enough? And the answer to that question is, of course, it is not strong enough. So they will most likely have to make some moves if they want to have a legitimate chance of being a contender in the Western Conference this year. Now, who's actually going to be available that could actually make a significant difference for this Laker team? Now, there's the Bruce Brown piece in Toronto, and Bruce Brown is going to be a free agent next season, so certainly the Toronto Raptors would love to move him at some point. So that's a nice piece. You're getting somebody that's a good three-point shooter, which is something that the Lakers certainly will need. It's also a question of how fast does Dalton Connect come around, and Bronny James for that matter as well. Look, I think the Lakers should absolutely play Bronny James in Game 1 of this upcoming NBA season. Have him have an opportunity to play with his dad. Go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off and just get it over with. I think that would be a good move. But in terms of who else is out there, there's Valanciunas with the Washington Wizards, which would probably help out the Lakers the most from a big person perspective. I think Valanciunas can also shoot the 3 extraordinarily well. He's lights out and probably would make the most sense for this Los Angeles Laker team. Now, there's some other players out there like a Walker Kessler in Utah, and when we know Walker Kessler is also going to be held hostage by Danny Ainge. I'm sure Danny Ainge would try to get 2, maybe 3 first-round draft picks for Walker Kessler. But if the Lakers could somehow get Walker Kessler on the cheap, that certainly would make a lot of sense for this Los Angeles Laker team. Look, I guarantee there will be some Laker moves made before the trading deadline. That is, if they want to actually contend in the Western Conference this season. All right, North America, I want to know what your thoughts and opinions are on this particular topic. Go ahead and drop those in. New to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe and, of course, like this video. For the Underrated Pod, I am Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day. To the cool new music we go.
This is Phoenix.